So I started to really look into Donald Trump a little more. I started to really go back and look at some of his speeches, some of his debates, look at the negative comments that people said about him, and also looking at, people who advocate for him and looking at both sides of it. And so, as everybody know, that I had an opportunity to go down to the rally because I just wanted to hear what he had to say. And to be honest, going into it, I was like, if this guy is going to be racist, if he's going to come out and say all this crazy stuff, and people are going to be hating on me and yelling at me and being stupid at the event, then that's just going to prove it to me that this guy is what they say he is. And if he is, then, of course I wouldn't vote for him. Of course I'm not going to support him. And that'll be the end of it. So I went down there, and obviously my experiences was publicized on my video. And, I judge people very well. I have a good judgment of character. I'm going to say I judge people. I have a good judgment of character. All I do, 10 hours a day, 40 plus hours a week is judge character. My life depends on my ability to judge a person's character, not based on actions. It's not about what a person does, because being effective, you have to learn how to separate the person from the action. So there's a lot of great people that make bad decisions, and you can't tap everybody into or associate them with some decisions that they made that are probably uncharacteristic of who they really are. So the judgment of character, man, I saw a character in Donald Trump that was far different than what was portrayed. I saw him being genuine. He was a person, man. He was very, consistent with what he was saying. He was showing love to people in the crowd. He was making jokes. I mean, I had a chance to really get a feel for who this man really is. And I got no feeling of the hatred and prejudice and stuff that they say about him. So then after the event, it really changed my perspective on how I viewed him as a person and how I viewed the supporters and how I viewed the movement altogether. And so I had to go back to the drawing board and say, man, I got to go look at some of this stuff. I need to look at everything negative that he said. All this stuff that they say that he's calling people, he's being sexist, he's being racist, he hates Hispanics. I got to go back and look at this stuff. I got to examine it. I can't just act like it don't exist. So after going back and looking at it, it's like I just couldn't believe how ridiculous people try to pump this stuff up to be. It's not. It's taken out of context. In some cases, it does sound like sexist comments, and it could be considered to be sexist in nature. But the bottom line of it all is that it is the same thing. I parallel it to Christians. Just because a person say that they're Christian, don't mean that they're Christian. You have to look at a person's lifestyle. You have to look at what they're actually doing, what they're physically doing, with a tangible evidence of what they're made of. And so when I heard some of the things that Donald Trump said, and like most Americans that are catching on to reality, is that I think the guy misspoke in a couple ways. I think he didn't articulate what he really felt. And I think some things he said that he probably wish he could take back.
Some people have called him a coon, an Uncle Tom, a traitor to his race. He has talked about subjects such as the NFL, the players taking a knee. He's talked about white privilege. He's been on Fox and Friends. And a lot of people think that he is turning against his race. So let me just give you a little bit of the backstory when it comes to Brandon and I speaking to each other. So I was going through my Instagram page. I was watching Wendy Williams, actually. I was watching Wendy Williams, and she talked about how Kanye was no longer on social media. So I was like, yeah, right. So I typed in Kanye West, and Brandon actually came up because he was wearing Make America Great Again hat. So he says, I support Kanye West. I am my own man. Liberals can't bully me. No one can bully a stand-up man. Better go home and get some sleep because I don't get tired. So I'm like, this is an interesting character here. I don't know Brandon. I haven't seen any of his videos until yesterday. And some things I agreed, and some things I was like, I'm going to punch this guy in the face as soon as I see him. But as a podcaster, I had to listen first and foremost. He has a picture on his Instagram page of Donald Trump. For some reason, for me, when I see Donald Trump, I see this terrible person that has no idea. He's crooked. He's evil. Like, just his picture alone upsets me. But again, I had to listen, and I wanted Brandon to be heard. So on his Instagram page, he has a picture of Trump, and it says, Trump is a hero, not because he is perfect. He is clearly imperfect and probably should not say 40% of what he says. At the same time, that's what makes him who he is. I respect that. His job as a president has been phenomenal. He has nearly accomplished all of his campaign promises in the first 2 years. He risked it all to serve this country, and I respect that. So underneath this picture, I had to make a comment. Now, I could have been nasty and whatever, like he's been getting death threats and all kinds of stuff, but that's not me. So I said, this support is very interesting. I can't be mad at you. You're living in your truth, hopefully. Good for you. So then he sent me a message and he said, you should put me on your podcast. Who am I to deny someone? So I decided to speak with him and hear him out just to see what he had to say. But I was ready for anything because a lot of his videos come off very hostile, I would say. And one of the things that I said to him was, in your tag on Instagram, it says that you're a motivational speaker. A motivational speaker is usually someone who is positive about things, who can be uplifting about things. And to me, you come off kind of rude and nasty. But people are who they are. And I want you guys to listen to the conversation, hear him out, see where his views are. I did find something interesting, though. When I look up Turning Point USA, Turning Point USA is a nonprofit organization which was founded on June 5th, 2012, by a guy named Charlie Kirk. So when you go to the website, which is www.tpusa.com, it basically tells you Turning Point USA activists strive to educate, identify, register, empower, organize, and mobilize. When you go to the page, and it was funny, the first thing I saw was Donald Trump again. I saw Donald Trump basically supporting the founder of the nonprofit organization. And for some of us, you kind of put two and two together. But there's a video and it says, watch Charlie Kirk interview President Donald Trump. And then there's a quote from Donald Trump that says, Charlie Kirk is great. He's doing great work. So it kind of makes you think, is Brandon being paid to say these things, that he's a supporter of Donald Trump?
So in a nutshell, Turning Point USA is a nonprofit organization that targets high schools and colleges and teaches people about freedom, about fiscal responsibility, about conservative values, kind of like giving an alternative perspective to what is mainstream in most college campuses and now high school campuses. And the urban engagement director position is just dealing with the urban community, the Black community,
you name it. We're going to start having chapters in HBCUs as well. We already have 22 selected. So anything in that realm, I'm directing that. I'm the overseer of those things.
Oh, awesome. So do you think that you're a Trump supporter? And I don't, this is what it says on your Instagram. It says you're a Trump supporter, Black conservative. Do you think that any of that will play a role in how you are affiliated with the Black community?
Well, I don't know. I mean, people have their opinions. When I say I'm a Trump supporter, that don't mean I love his dirty draws. You know, I think that I support a lot of the things that he does. I don't, especially policy related things. Sometimes he irritates me by stuff he tweets. Sometimes he irritates me in some of his speeches. He talk in loops and circles, but the overall perspective of what he brought to America, in my opinion, has been something I support. And yeah, if I had a magic wand, I wish that it was someone a little more polished. But I think overall, what I want to see this country, the direction I want to see the country go in, you know, Supreme Court justice nominations, tax cuts, things like that, is why I categorize myself as a Trump supporter. And I honestly believe if people would just sit down for a minute and listen to the rationale, I think that people would realize that we have more in common than we don't. And the name alone and the reputation that some people have projected on him alone causes us to be in this conflict that in our hearts and what we want to see in the community, we're really not in conflict.
Why do you think that we're really not in conflict?
Because I think that people want opportunities to work. People want lower taxes. I think most people do. And people want to be proud of this country. I think that's a huge thing that I think most people really want deep down inside. Imagine the people who serve this country, you know, the loyalty to this country that a lot of us have. We live in the greatest country on planet Earth. So I think a lot of people share that. It just maybe the messaging is not there or not. I think that I want to see the Black community do better and improve. I honestly believe in my heart that Donald Trump feels the same way. If he didn't, I wouldn't support him. I wouldn't vote for him. That'd be counterproductive to who I am. But, you know, I think that we have been going down a path, a residual path, that haven't been working for us.
So you just feel like we should be in a different path and we should try to stand behind the president because he is the president, because he has that title?
Well, this is what I would say. Stand behind principle. The president is only here for so many years and he's gone. So I think that people should not look at Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Look at what you really want to see happen in your community. When I look at communities that are riddled with violence, people are killing each other every day, drug epidemic, rape, you know, you name it, these communities are suffering. And if you look at any statistic or you look at any geographical map, most of the inner cities and the things that are going wrong in our inner cities are run by Democrats. So the principle is to say, if you wipe away the titles, you say, well, what is going on in our communities that's causing these things? And whatever that is, we need to change. And our politicians should be running on principles that affect our community positively instead of running on principles where it's going to force us to have to pick the better of two evils. And I think that when we sit down and look at that, look at policies, look at the things that can benefit us, I think that we can agree to a certain standard of policies that can make it better. Those policies so happen to be in the Republican Party at this time under President Trump.
Well, in a video that you posted that I watched on YouTube, you were saying how you were never going to vote Democrat. And you said something about Obama manipulating the people. I guess he finesses things and he's kind of like a smooth talker. But at the same time with Trump, you don't think he's manipulating the people that are next to him, or maybe people are getting paid to stand behind him? Like, you don't think that there is like a medium between the two?
Well, no, I don't believe so. I'm gonna tell you this: Barack Obama was the coolest president that probably would ever walk planet Earth, unless I become president. Barack Obama is swagged out. He says the right things. He's very polished in what he says, and his actions just didn't reciprocate what he was saying. You know, about healthcare, what he was saying about the police department, the fact that he was the president for 8 years in Chicago is worse than it's ever been. And he was associated in government in Chicago. And so these things, they sound good, but they didn't come to fruition. Barack Obama was smooth enough to get people to vote for him and smooth enough to believe him, no matter if he's telling the truth or not, in my opinion. Donald Trump isn't as crafty. Donald Trump is rude at times. Donald Trump is brash at times, and it's hard to befriend him unless you're in his inner circle. So, and another thing, Donald Trump is a billionaire. He has a $300 million aircraft. He owns buildings all around the world. And so he is the type of person that cannot be bought or sold by anybody. And some of the reason why people don't like him is because he can't be controlled. And you can't tell him to be more presidential because he's not. You can't tell him to stop tweeting because he won't. Because he have what I call the FU money. When you have a certain success level and you got so much money, you don't care. Kanye West, he don't care. He has money. You know, you can go down a list of these people, but bottom line is that I think that everybody who supports Trump, they support him because they really see something effective in what he's doing, because they can't go off his charisma, because his swag versus Obama's swag ain't even close.
Okay, so you threw out Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
So you had the infamous hat, "Make America Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
You wore that. You took a picture, and you're saying Kanye has money. Is it Kim's money or Kanye's money? But anyway,
well, I think Kanye merged with Kim, and they making crazy money, just like Jay-Z and Beyonce. And I would think that Beyonce is a little more carrying the load than Jay-Z is compared to Kanye and Kim, because Kanye has his own brand. He's #1 record in the world, or at least the #1 song on the record in the world just recently. So Kanye is a big deal. I mean, people love Kanye. They loved his music. He was an icon. And now I think people think he fell off a rocker. And
because he sounds like he's back in the sunken place.
Well, see, it depends on how you diagnose a sunken place. I think a sunken place is when you listen to everybody tell you what to do and you don't think for yourself. Now, people look at the MAGA hat. I feel like they're missing the entire point of what Kanye is doing, and it's sad that they're missing it because they're too focused on thinking negatively about him, and they can't see what he's saying. Kanye isn't wearing MAGA hat because he supported Donald Trump. That's not why he's wearing it. He said it 1,000 times. He's wearing it because he wants to be a free thinker, and he don't want people to bully him and tell him what to do and what not to do.
Right.
That's a huge portion of the reason why he wears it, because it represents freedom of thought, and that he likes Donald Trump as a person. Kanye is not really political. I don't believe that he understands where he stands on a political spectrum. But I know that he likes Donald Trump, and people want to make him say you can't like him because he's a Republican, when all of these years it's been cool to like Donald Trump until now. And I think he's pushing against the rhetoric of saying, I'm going to tell you to take that hat off because we don't like it. And Kanye is like, well, just because you don't like it don't mean I don't have to like it, but I'm going to wear it anyway.
Yeah, but he says some obnoxious things. Like, why is he talking about slavery and
people are missing it. People are missing his point. And I made a video about it. Like, you got to think, if people actually want to hear him and they weren't just looking for him to be this sunken place dude, I think they can get a message out of it. I'm telling you, 400 years of slavery. Slavery was a choice. Everybody with a brainstem understands that slavery was a choice in and of itself. All Kanye was saying, and he compared it to today, and what he believed is the epidemic in the black community is the mind. Because if anybody realizes, if they want to take a look at history and look at slavery, there was a lot of times where slavery was conditional through brain manipulation, not brute force. Sometimes the slave owners were outnumbered by slaves by tenfold, and they're breeding the biggest, strongest slaves that there were. And some took over plantations, but a lot of the reason why they didn't do a lot of things because they were mentally stuck. Harriet Tubman got out of the sunken place mentally, and she realized that she can escape. And some of the other slaves realized that they can outsmart the slave owner by singing hymns and songs, really orchestrating their escape. And once they realized they could be free mentally, they begin to behave that way. And then obviously you see the matriculation down of escapees and then the abolishment of slavery. But some people probably believe that we can't make it past the South. We'll get killed. We'll die. White people won't support us. And that wasn't true. Harriet Tubman proved that to be wrong. And what he's saying today is that black people, we're the only race that's overrepresented on the Democratic Party. I think we voted like 80, 90%. No other race does that. They have more of a balance and perspective. And like we are being completely convinced on one side. And I think what he's saying now is that we are conditioned in our brain, and I was too when I was growing up, that you have to be a Democrat. You have to walk like this, talk like this, or you'll sell out, you'll Uncle Tom, you'll coon, you'll bootlicker, whatever they call you, if you don't line up. And what he's saying is that mentally, we need to break free from that and be individuals. And if you want to be a Republican, or if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be do extreme sports or something, and you black, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? If you want to marry a white woman, when I was growing up, you couldn't date a white woman. But if you want to marry a white woman, it's okay, dude. You're an individual. You don't have to be a monolith. So that's what I take from what he's saying.
So do you think that you're proving a point when you say, do all black people think alike? Like, what's your interpretation of that statement?
Are you referring to the speaking engagement that I have?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that we're asking the question: do all black people think alike? Because, for instance, I had a young lady tell me yesterday. She was like, "You and my friend Adrian, you're the only two black people that I know that support Trump." Like, she's never seen another black person that support Trump. And it's like,
me either.
Right, with that idea, some people would think that no black people would support Trump, and it's like I think it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us, mind you. It's a lot of us. A lot of people don't say anything because they don't feel like arguing with people. But
I just feel like he hasn't done anything to bring us really together.
Well, I think that what's happened is that people don't want to be together. That's the point. Like, if he comes to the campaign, he says, what do black people have to lose? Like, take a look at the other side. Some people are like, oh, he's racist. Look how he's talking to black people. They don't want to hear what he has to say. I mean, when he signed an executive order, which most people don't know, he signed an executive order to give more money to HBCUs than Obama did. And people don't care. He had 100 pastors from all over the country come to the White House during campaign season and sit down and talk to them.
I saw that.
If there was any other president, this would be historic for black people and also people of faith, because he's not going to the community talking to, people that are not the leaders. Like, these people are spiritual leaders of their communities, and people are like, oh, it's a photo op. It's like, at what point can you get a man some props? He won an award given to him by Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition in 1998. Because of his outreach and his support in the urban communities. He got awarded the award alongside Muhammad Ali and Rosa Parks. But people don't care about that. They listen to TV and they make this man a racist. And all I'm saying is that I think that if people get out of their emotions and say, what is he doing wrong? He invite people to the White House. He pardoned or communed the sentence. I don't know what they call it once a person's post-mortem communion or whatever. Jack Johnson. Obama should have pardoned him or pardoned his sentence a long time ago. That man was falsely accused of rape by a white woman in a racist time, ruined his title. And Donald Trump pardoned him. The lady Marie Johnson, who Kim Kardashian got pardoned, she was in prison on some 3 strike rule stuff that shouldn't have been so.
Right.
And he pardoned her. He told people, if you got somebody you want to pardon, come to the White House. We got people in the black community say, I'm not going there and talk to that fool. Well, I'm going to talk to him. and I'm going to address the issues that I think are going on in the black community. And if he don't do anything about it, then I can say, I spoke to that man face to face and he didn't do nothing about it. But if I'm not going to go down there and talk to him, what am I accomplishing? Why am I complaining? They say he don't like the black people. Well, stop asking him to help the black community and expecting him to do anything if you feel like he's not for the black people anyway. The problem is that people are brainwashed. Donald Trump hasn't done anything negative to black people, especially not as the president. Black unemployment is the lowest it's been in history. Now, some people can credit that to Obama. There was a negative slope under Obama, but Donald Trump is definitely participating in furthering the unemployment being lowered for all people in America. And so that's a huge accomplishment. Jobs are coming back to America, which giving African Americans more opportunities. Illegal immigration is down. He's hard on illegal immigration. Not immigration, not Mexicans, but illegal immigration. That's from people all over the world. And that gives people who live in this country an opportunity to work. Those things are prosperous. Those things are beneficial. The tax cuts helped out single moms this year. You get like a couple $1,000 more on your tax returns because of the tax cuts. People can see that. And when they get out of the emotional state, they can at least have an evaluation and say, okay, 2 years in presidency and look at all the stuff he's done. Like, let's actually go meet with the man since he's running his mouth and saying that we can come down there. Let's go meet with him and make something happen.
So you think I'm sorry,
go ahead.
So you think that's why Kanye tried to meet with him? Well, not tried, but did meet with him?
I don't know if that's what Kanye did, but I know that's what Kim Kardashian did. She in there right now.
Are you going?
Huh?
Are you going?
Oh, I'm going to be there at the end of this month on the 25th.
Are you going to meet with him?
Yeah, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to talk to him, too.
Okay.
I'm going to tell him how I feel.
I'll be right there with you.
I'm serious. I'm going to tell him how I feel. And I think that there's a lot of things I want to see him do as far as the black community. I want to see him kind of give a reverse effect of what Bill Clinton did with the 3-strike rule. I think people need a second chance. And I think he has the power to make an executive order to give people an opportunity to not have a felony over their head because they were smoking marijuana or selling marijuana 20 years ago. So because that's a residual effect. People can't buy firearms, they can't vote, they can't find a job. And he's big on jobs, right? He's talking about he wants people to work.
Right.
Well, maybe we can see eye to eye on that perspective, but you can't see nothing if you don't go talk to the man.
So there was a video that I saw where someone labeled you as a traitor to the black community, a coon, and being uneducated. What do you say about that?
Well, I feel bad that somebody would think that way because those are emotional responses. They're not rooted in truth. I'm black. I can't change being black. My son is black. My whole family is black. I love my family. I take care of my family. I was a police officer. I served in the police department as a black man. I served my community with my life, including black people. I'm educated. I have a bachelor's degree, and I'm almost done with my master's degree in business leadership. So I'm not a fool. And then I grew up in and around the hood my whole life. I know what it is. So not only do I have experience personally, I have educational experience. I studied African American studies in college at the University of Arizona. So, if we want to talk about point by point basis, person saying I'm uneducated is it's a falsehood, it's a lie. To say I'm an Uncle Tom, if you read the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, Uncle Tom was the hero in the story. He refused to let people disrespect black people. He refused to let the black people be put in a position outside of what their worth was. He stood up for women. We can go down the list. So his articulation about me and Uncle Tom is a false sense of reality. And this is what people say when they get hurt or they don't understand. Right. They go with, attacks, verbal attacks on whatever. If the person wants to disagree with a point, we can discuss the point. But to categorize me that way makes that person look foolish because there's millions of people who like what I have to say and they understand the impact and leadership that I provide.
Right. The thing that I'm battling with the most is the video of you with the Me Too movement, the hashtag Me Too. I can understand where you're saying that some women are using it as, what is it that you called it? Kind of like a weapon.
Weaponizing it.
I can see your point for that. But there's just certain things, like I have a daughter and I know that if something were to happen to her, I would 100% stand by her and believe her. But I know that you feel differently for some women out there. Can you explain your experience? And if you had a daughter, like, how would you feel? Would you call her a liar?
Yeah, this is the point. I have a mother, I have family members that are women. I love women. I stand by women and protect women with my life. So I don't say that I don't believe people. It's the fact of the matter is that you have to present some level of evidence. My grandmother was raped at the age of 12 and had my mom. So I'm not outside of the realm of understanding that women get assaulted. I was a police officer. I took police reports from women who had been raped and assaulted. I seen their faces. I asked the tough questions. I looked them in the eye. I saw the fear. I saw the hurt. And it I'm not going to curse on your platform, but it made me upset. It hurt my feelings. And I was angered that a man would do a woman that way. To the point where I didn't care if I lost my job if I saw that man at that moment. I probably would want to beat that dude to death. I know family. I got friends that tell me that they've been molested and raped and stuff. And of course, I mean, it's the articulable reasons to believe them. But what you have to understand is that you can't just blindly say, I believe everybody who claimed that they've been raped. And you don't have to not believe them. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that you can't make an unequivocal statement unless there's evidence. Right. So a person can tell you, I was raped. And you say, okay, I believe your story. Right. And then the guy said, I never raped her. You have to say, well, I believe your story. Why do I pick a side? Because if no woman has ever lied on a man, then I would say, always believe a woman. And so my whole thing is that in the court of law, I don't believe anybody unless you can show evidence that this happened. Because unfortunately, people are evil. And although I believe that you were genuine about your story, I took 90% of my police calls related to sexual assault were false accusations against people. And it's sickening to see that when you actually get the ones who've really been raped, and it just bothers me to the core. And so when I see stuff like the Me Too movement, I understand that there's women who've actually been raped, right. And then there's women who are just using it as a political tool against other people. And that's not right, because I think that because I listened to your story, I think that you deserve to be heard. Every woman deserves to be heard. Now, I can't guarantee you deserve to be believed, but you deserve to be heard. Right. And that women who actually go through these things need justice at the top of the list, justice. But and I know that there's women who use it to get back at boyfriends, to ruin people's careers, and we need to talk about that. That's unacceptable. Right. It's unacceptable. And I'm not a woman, but it makes me mad for women when I see women lie. And that's why I'm saying that the Me Too movement is out of control, because you gave a genuine story. The girl at the pool lied about her experience. Right. And I do investigations for a living. I investigated thousands of people. I've written over 1,000 case reports. So I know when somebody's lying and being disingenuous with inconsistencies. Right. And that girl just lied at the pool for no reason because she want to win an argument. And she ended up retracting and saying, well, no, maybe it didn't happen. It's like, that's not the character of women who've really been hurt. Right. And because I know what they sound like. My family members, I know our family has been raped by other family members and nobody talks about it in the family. They act like it don't happen. It didn't happen, so I just think that maybe the message may not have gotten across properly, but there's no way in the world a woman tell me she got raped and I'm like, oh, I don't believe you. It's like, but you got to have a balance, You got to say, I hear your side and it sounds like that happened to you. Let's go forward. Let's prosecute. Let's go to the police department. I'm with you, sister. Let's do this. But, you know, if you don't have any evidence, I can't automatically get mad at the other guy either, because he may be telling the truth. Maybe it was somebody else, it wasn't him. Or maybe he's a lying dog. But we have to weigh out our options before we make a determination on who we should believe and put energy behind. You know, it's a difference between hearing somebody and believing them. And I think every woman should be heard.
But I don't think you wanted to hear Dr. Ford.
I did hear Dr. Ford. I heard what she had to say. I think she deserved the right to be heard in a congressional hearing. I think that people on the Democratic side betrayed her trust. They manipulated her, and they used her and they embarrassed her in front of the world. Now, this is what I'll say about Blasey Ford. I have investigated people, and I've seen people that have been raped long time ago and recent. Her testimony was very disingenuous on many, many platforms. Now, that's just my opinion. Now, let's go to facts. Every single person that she said was at the scene, they didn't say they were there. She said they were there. She handpicked people that she remembered being there, and not one person corroborated her story. Even her best friend said that she don't even know Brett Kavanaugh. And that's very shocking and surprising. And then under oath, her boyfriend said that she never mentioned this. Her ex-boyfriend said that she never mentioned this. He never heard of these things. She never mentioned being sexually assaulted. She's being disingenuous about a lot of things. He said that under I guess, threat of perjury. You know, he could be commit a felony if they find that he was lying. And all of her friends made the statement, and other people that were there made the statement under oath, pretty much, that it didn't happen. They weren't there. This party didn't exist. And so what I'm left to believe, and given all the other inconsistencies, like her attorneys being selected by Democrats, they waited until this lady wanted this in private, and they leaked her information at the very end of after the hearings were over. They leaked her information for political gain, and she made $1 million on GoFundMe already. So I can't say that I stand by her, because everything is pointing to the fact that there's no corroboration with her story. And then you have the person on the other side saying, I didn't do this. Here's my calendar. Here is witnesses. This wasn't even my character to rape some woman at an event. She don't know where it happened. She don't know when it happened. And I'm going to tell you the worst thing that she said, that which makes me not believe her, is that she don't remember how she got home. Now, if she was roofie or something, that'll be different. But she said she had one beer, and she lives 8 miles away from the location. Walking 8 miles, that can take you several hours.
Right.
The most gruesome portion of her incident, because she didn't actually get raped, he attempted to rape her, but the most gruesome portion of her incident would have been getting home. She's 15. There's no cell phones. There's no Ubers. She lived probably a 5-hour walk away from whatever location this is. And she don't remember anybody picking her up. Nobody remember picking her up. She sure didn't walk. Her parents don't remember her coming home. You know, a lot of women that have been raped, one of their vivid memories is when they are harboring what happened to them, and then they have to make a decision whether to tell their parents or not tell their parents.
Right.
And that moment where you've been assaulted and you look your dad and your mom in the eye and you have to make a decision, you never forget that moment. And Blasey Ford, who supposedly she's been hurting for 35 years, cannot even recall the moment that she laid down in that bed and she felt safe. Because she wasn't safe when she left the place. She couldn't get home. Her safety was when she took a shower and she laid in the bed. That was when she finally could be peaceful. And you telling me, you cannot tell me, and you've been through a scenario, you can't tell me that you don't remember that moment. You can't tell me that. And I've seen it. I've seen women get hurt, and I don't like it when people play around. And that woman is not being genuine.
So I know that someone had asked you, so how do you prevent stuff like this? And you said to charge them or something like that for lying.
Oh, it's a multiplicity of things that we can do to prevent these things from happening. One thing I think is that we have to make it available and encourage women that when they get assaulted, that they have to report it immediately. Now, I know that if it's a family member, it's very difficult to do that. But when you at a party or whatever, or if you're a boyfriend report it so that these people can be prosecuted.
But even when you're young, you feel like you can't. You're embarrassed or...
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is that we need to encourage women that we support you and come out and do it. And if you've been raped, do it. Like, we support you. I was a police officer. I would love to have a seminar and talk to women about the risks and help them to alleviate some of the fears in reporting to police, because there's a lot of the unknowns, and people are afraid of unknowns, but it's not that difficult. If you actually happen to you, there's ways that you can do it. We have professional people that can come speak to you. It won't even be a police officer speaking to you. People can come and be there for you. And there's organizations that support police departments. You can be forensically interviewed. Like, all of these things are resources for women, and I'm an advocate to start there and to help women feel more comfortable and encourage them to come and speak out so that they can have justice. And so these predators can go to prison for life or for a very long time and be registered as a sex offender for the rest of their life, which your life is over if you register as a sex offender, pretty much. So that's one area.
Like, the scenarios that you're speaking about are easier said than done. Because
I know it's not going to be easy because women will do it. What I'm saying is that we should find ways to encourage them. Like, I'm a father. When I have a daughter, have the conversation with her. You know, you a mother. Have the conversation with your daughter when it's appropriate. Like, it starts with you, because if it happened to her, she's going to remember what mama said to her. And then she's going to feel emboldened that you...
But I've had those conversations with my mother.
Yeah, but maybe you know what? Okay, so the thing that I would say is that if you understand what made you fear coming out about it, you should pass that along to other young women and say, listen, I had this fear and I regretted having a fear, or I had a fear because of X, Y, Z, and it wasn't true. So all you can do is just do your best to reiterate positivity to other young women. You're not going to convince everybody. There's no secret sauce. But what you can do is pass along, because you never know what young lady is going to need that, or what young lady is going to inspire another one, or men, to actually feel empowered by your story. And the reason that you shared your story wasn't because you want everybody in your business. Right. You shared your story because you want to impact and empower other women that feel like, dang, that happened to me too. So I feel like I need to say something now. Like, I'm okay with doing it. She faced her fears. It was some women who got raped in our church. And they came out and during the testimony, and it was powerful. I mean, women was weeping, people were crying, everybody was. It's because nobody knew that had happened to them. And the bottom line is that our objective as individuals is to reach out and empower other people to come forward. Whether I'm a man empowering women or women empowering women. Right. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy to do anything, just about, especially to deal with your own feelings. You know what I'm saying? But we got to start somewhere, right? And that's a start. And then for women who lie, if you lie, I'm not saying you say something that's unfounded. If you blatantly lie, which I had people that I know that did when I was a cop, and lied on my friends, or one of my friends that I play football with, you should prosecute those people. And they should get the same penalty as the person whom they accused. Because there's people that's false accused and they lose their whole life. My friend lost everything, and that girl lied on him. So we should be stricter on that end. We should do more avenue of outreach and encouragement on the other end. And I think we'll see the gap bridged when it comes to women coming out, and then the mitigation of people thinking that women are lying.
Yeah.
And I think you agree with me on
that. I'm iffy. I mean, I get, if you lie, there should be consequences for lying. Definitely. But I just feel like maybe the faith isn't there yet for the justice system. I don't know.
What do we say? The faith isn't there for the justice system?
Like, maybe my faith just isn't there yet.
Well, I don't think, the reason it's not there because you may not understand how the justice system works. If I was a woman knowing what I know, my faith is there. And the reason why is because if you understand UCR codes is how you classify crimes. The biggest part enumerated crime is murder. The second one is rape. Like, it's a big deal. You have to take every rape serious as a police officer. Even when women lie about it, and we know they lie, we still have to report it.
Right.
And we have to take them seriously and treat them with respect. And that's a huge priority. And if you get charged with rape, and I think that it leans more towards the women than the men, if you get charged with rape, like, your life is over. I mean, you're lucky you don't get raped in jail as a man.
Right.
And then beyond that, you register sex offender for the rest of your life. You know, you can't get apartment complexes as a registered sex offender. Some apartments won't take you. You're not going to get a job as a registered sex offender. So, I mean, you got a hard life, rightfully so, if you rape somebody.
Right.
So I would encourage people to have faith in the justice system and for people to teach young women how to report, because you don't know what to say. You don't know how to say it. You may feel uncomfortable. You don't know what, they may ask you something and you don't know your rights in certain areas, or maybe the police officer's being a little too brash with you. You have a right to get another police officer to speak with you. You have a right not to give a statement right away. You can have an advocate come speak to you.
Right.
There's a lot of things that you can do, but people just don't know until they actually report. But that's why it's our obligation to assist.
See, that's where I would probably feel most comfortable if there was if there was like an office or something where I could call someone or have an advocate to speak up for me, because maybe if I'm 15, 16, I'm not speaking to anybody because I'm terrified. I just had this thing happen to me and now I'm scared out of my mind. I don't want to get the person in trouble. Like, there's just so many thoughts that go through your mind.
Right. And family members should be a support system for you. They should be having these conversations, because a lot of times when a 15-year-old is afraid to tell their parent, well, the parents need to create an environment where your kids, if something happens to them, they can come talk to you.
Right.
But if you don't present that, whose fault is it? You can't blame the police officer because the 15-year-old is afraid to tell their parents because their parents are too strict, or they're not open-minded, or they're afraid that they're going to get a whooping, instead of the mama saying, okay, I know you were drinking and you shouldn't, but this happened to you and that's serious. That's more serious than you drinking,
Right. Or you weren't drinking. Or you weren't drinking and this happened to you.
Most cases are dealing with alcohol. Most of the rape cases and stuff, especially in college, are dealing with people intoxicated on both sides. But if you weren't, I'm just giving an example of one scenario. But if I'm saying, if you were afraid to tell your parents, I mean, maybe you were just having sex too young, or you went over some boy's house and you thought he was going to treat you with respect. He didn't, and you don't want your parents to know you went over there when she told you you're not supposed to go over there. So it's just a myriad of reasons, but we as a community got to stand together and help each other feel comfortable, and shun those who lie. You got to shun them. You can't be passive. You got to say you are a disgrace and you should go to prison for lying.
Yeah.
But for those who tell the truth, man, we got to rally behind them like we in the 300. I go to war with any woman that I know that's been assaulted. I whoop any dude over a woman that's been assaulted any day, any time. I will go to jail for it. So. And I think most people would. You somebody rape my mama? You think I'm gonna say, I believe him? No, bro. You rape my mama, you gonna probably be pushing daisies. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you rape my little sister. I got a little sister. Her husband already know what it is. You disrespect my sister, you gonna have to see me. And so I think that maybe it's getting missed in translation. Like, my sister came and said her boyfriend raped her. I'll listen to her. I'll hear her side. But, I can't just hear your side, because in order for him to go to prison, you're going to have some evidence. Right. I can help you, go to the police and, talk your side out. But
Well, this has been a very interesting conversation.
I told you before it started.
Well, just for the record, because somebody's going to ask, are you getting paid to be a Trump supporter? Is Fox paying you to back him up or tell lies or do anything like that?
Yeah, no, man. I wish they were paying me. I ain't gonna lie. I wish they would put money in my pocket for me to do what I really feel, and they paying me to do it. I mean, God, I wish Trump would pay me some money. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, I'm just telling what I really feel in my heart. And I'm a free thinker. And if at any point, I used to support Trump. I mean, I used to support Obama the same way. I'll fight somebody over Obama back in the day. So, but no, nobody's paying me to do anything.
I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about politics or the justice system. I do read, I do look at certain things that play on TV and whatnot, and I try to formulate my own opinion. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will formulate your own opinions as well. You can find Brandon on all social media accounts under the Officer Tatum. So go check him out. He has a lot of videos, as I said before, and he's speaking how he feels. He said he's a thinker and he just believes in the things that he believes in, and that's fine. Everyone is going to voice their own opinions about the way the world is. So you either love Brandon for what he stands for, which is truth, standing in his own truth, or you can continue to blast him negatively on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. But he's standing in his truth. He's a man living in his own truth. I respect that. I respect the conversation. I thank him for even taking the time to come on nikimarieradio and continue to listen, support, like, share, do all of that stuff. And go check him out and form your own opinions. Until next time, next episode, have a wonderful day, my beautiful people.
If you are the type of person that believes that there's white privilege in this country and you believe that there's an epidemic, that somehow black people don't have opportunities because of white people, you got to be a fool. You need to change the way you think. I'm done beating that dead horse.